name is Karina Ross. I'm the Director of Constituent Relations here at the Association of Graduates. And it's my pleasure today to introduce our featured speaker, JJ from USAA. So I think we'll go ahead and lead into our next topic to talk about the Thrift Savings Plan.
So yeah, Karina, the TSP or the Thrift Savings Plan, essentially that's the Air Force's version or the military's version of a civilian 401k. So it's an opportunity to save money for retirement. And you may think, holy cow, retirement, what are you talking about retirement for? I'm just entering the Air Force. I'm not worried about what's happening 40 years down the road. But the cool thing is that time is the big ally. And while you might not have a retirement vision right now, what you probably do have or could have is some good habits that will pay big dividends down the road. And one of those probably involves the TSP or Thrift Savings Plan, what we call in the financial world an employer plan. So it's the Air Force's plan. You contribute money to the TSP via a payroll deduction. The plan offers both Roth and traditional options. And so in its simplest form, with a Roth, if you make a contribution to the Roth TSP, the money that you put into that Roth TSP shows up as taxable income on your W-2. On the other hand, money you put into the traditional TSP does not show up as taxable income. So traditional contributions reduce your income and reduce what you are probably going to pay in taxes currently. Roth, you're still going to pay tax on that money. In either case, as that money grows over the next 30, 40, 50 years, you're not going to pay tax on the dividends, on the interest, on the capital gains. But the big difference between the two on the back end is that money that you put in the traditional TSP plus all the earnings over those years is all going to come out as taxable income. So you're going to pay tax on it down the road. On the other hand, Roth, those contributions plus all those earnings, when you get to retirement, you're going to be able to access that money without any taxes. And so the calculus, it's almost a crystal ball type question, because what's better? Well, I don't really know. And nobody can really tell you definitively what is better, because it depends on how much taxes you pay today, which you do know, but how much are you going to pay in the future, which you don't know. And so for somebody who's young, typically you're going to make more money over time. And guess what? When you make more money, you pay more taxes, your lifestyle goes up. And so that would lead us generally to say, for somebody who's young and just starting out, that having a Roth TSP or Roth IRA makes a lot of sense. It's a very personal decision. I'll use my own example. When my wife, she was a nurse and she went back to school, became a nurse practitioner. And so we had done mostly Roth up to that point in our both of our 401ks. It was heavily weighted towards Roth with some traditional. But when she got that advanced degree, doubled her income, all of a sudden the threshold of pain when it came to income taxes went up. And so what we decided at that point is, hey, we're going to flip-flop and we're going to do a lot more in traditional to help with our taxes today, as opposed to Roth. So it's a decision. What you decide today is not necessarily what's going to work tomorrow, but it's something that you need to be aware of, and it should be part of that. When we talk about financial planning, we talk about periodic monitoring. And this is an example of something that you want to monitor and make sure you're doing what makes sense for you at this particular point in life.
Awesome. And you kind of already mentioned it, but it is, you are able to do both traditional and Roth, correct?
Yeah. If you wanted to, within the TSP, you go to MyPay, sign up. You could elect a certain percentage to go into the Roth and a certain percentage to go into traditional, or all into one or the other. One thing I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about Roth or traditional, which is something worth taking a look at, is if you are in a tax-free combat zone, so essentially you're not paying tax on your income, and you're saving for retirement, Roth is a great way to do it, because it offers the potential to take money you didn't pay taxes on, put it in the Roth, and then grow it for decades and pull the money out without having ever paid tax on that money. So Roth during a deployment is actually a great way to save for retirement.
Yeah, I think that is a great piece of advice.
Either way, they're both tax advantaged. And I think for a lot of our new grads who either are going to opt into the blended retirement system or are covered by the blended retirement system, one of the key things that you have to remember is that in order to get all of the available, what I'll call free money from the Air Force in terms of automatic and matching contributions to your thrift savings plan. That means they're putting their money in and not yours. But to get that, all of it, you have to contribute a minimum of 5% to the TSP. And typically as a financial planner, we'll tell people that are just starting off their career to start at 10 to 15% in terms of what they save as a part of their gross income, but also to ramp it up over time. And so the thrift savings plan is a great vehicle to consider if you're trying to save for retirement.
Going off when you're younger, I feel like you have that better capability to save. Because, if you look a couple years down the line, your family might grow, you might get married. Those are all going to come at additional costs. So I like the idea of start as young as you can when you can afford, put as much in your savings and grow that because you never know. Kids are expensive these days. So it's getting married.
Kids have always been expensive. In fact, that's a funny thing because I remember, as you said in my bio, I got off active duty in the Army and I went into financial services. And probably 6 months in, I came home one night. At the time we had one child at the time, but I came home to my wife and I said, "Hey, honey, here's my first big revelation: is that folks without kids, they have a lot more money than people with kids." It's very true. So I think there's some validity to that. Hey, do it while you can.
Yeah, because life happens, and then maybe that 10 to 15% isn't as feasible as it was when you were in your first 5 years.
Right. Exactly.